Hey creatives, do you want to sell your art and handcrafted items? Or are you already selling your art and handcrafted items, but you want to figure out how to sell enough of it that you can do that for a living? Hi, I'm Amy, and on this channel we talk about how your creative gift has value. And in this video, we're going to talk about the 3 keys that you need to keep in mind in order to build a living from selling the things that you make. All right, the first key to selling your art and handcrafted items is to do good work. Now this pretty much goes without saying, but it's so important that it's got to be the first leg of that stool. And that means more than just, hey, I like painting and I want to paint and this is the thing I'm going to do. You really need to take some time to make sure that you are creating a body of work and that you have a large amount of work that shows who you are and what you do, who you are as an artist or a crafter or a maker. So you need to take the time to create a lot and get good at it. Sometimes you aren't selling yet because you just need a little more practice. The more you do it, you will get better at it. But you have to be good at it. You have to make something good and be consistent and have a style and have a comfort level with the things that you're making and who you are as an artist. The writer Malcolm Gladwell says that you need 10,000 hours of practice to become an expert at something. So keep that in mind when you are thinking about how long you've been doing this art thing or this craft thing. You get better and better the more you do it. Your instincts get better, you become an expert, and it's great when you become that expert and you're really good at something. So keep at it and stick with it. The next aspect of doing good work is to develop a cohesive style or brand. I hate to use the word brand, that's thrown around so much, but it's really important for you as an artist to have work that is identifiable and goes together well and shows who you are. So think about that. I know we kind of like to bounce all over the place as right-brainers and creatives, but you need to kind of rein yourself in enough that you have a decent collection of things that seem to work together. My favorite art teacher in college used to say, work in a series. Always try to work in a series. So when you have an idea for a project, try to turn it into an idea for a series. And that way, at least all those items will go together. And then when you've kind of worked through that and you've done 5 pieces or 7 pieces or whatever is in that series, then you can get an idea for a new series. And that helps to fulfill your need for freshness in your creativity, but it still keeps you having cohesive work that works together and that someone in a gallery or a rep might be interested in selling because it helps them to be able to sell your work with a certain type of look. The next step is to consider what is marketable. Now, sometimes fine artists push back against this too, but if you're trying to make a living from selling your work, then it's worth me mentioning, consider what is marketable. I used to know a really talented sculptor. He found that if he made his sculptures just about the right height and able to have a glass top on them that they could be used as a coffee table, then he sold them a whole lot faster because even if people really like your sculpture, not everybody has room to put that sculpture in their house or their business, but everybody needs a coffee table. So think about how something's going to be used or can be used and try to be practical when you're marketing your things. If you're a painter or someone who makes prints of their work, you do kind of have to think about where that work might be hung, and you have to think about what colors and styles people are using to decorate either their homes or offices in order for it to be something that will fit in, that someone would say, oh, I like this, but it just doesn't really go in my house or my office. Or they can say, I like this, and it will look great in my house or my office. That makes a difference between a sale and just a compliment. So think about that when you are doing your work. Just keep those things in mind. That doesn't have to drive you. You don't have to completely be designing what you think people want to see, but just be aware of how people are going to use your work so that they can buy it from you. The final piece of this puzzle of how to have good work is to take really good pictures of it. And we're lucky that most of us have a smartphone and access to natural light. That's what you can start off with, and you should be able to get good pictures with that. We have good quality cameras in our phones now until you can build up to something else. But it's really important to be able to show your work well. And another thing that's important to consider is try and get good pictures of yourself doing the work or doing the service, painting a mural or teaching a class. Something like that can be very helpful to you to have some photos of things like that. So take good pictures. That's important in showing your work to its best advantage. All right, the second leg of the stool is connect with customers. When you're starting off, you should start finding ways in person to connect with customers. And one of the best ways to do that is holiday shows, because in the holiday times, people are ready to buy, they're looking for gifts and things, and everybody's area has both small and large types of holiday markets and shows. So this year I suggest that you kind of start to plan ahead to do one of those. In Texas, there are some really big famous ones. In Dallas, there's the Chi Omega Show, and in Houston, there's the Nutcracker Market. But you don't have to start there. Those are juried and they're expensive. There's going to be something smaller and near you that's something you can get into, and it's a great chance to make some sales around holiday time and to get to know some of your customers, get feedback, and see what they like. Any time of year, you can do things like look around locally for opportunities at some place like a coffee shop or a local boutique, because handmade items are really in demand right now for stores to set themselves apart by having special handmade things that you can't get anywhere else. And thirdly, group shows are a great opportunity to show your work. You can join artist groups that are local and meet other artists like yourself, and they usually plan different kinds of group shows and opportunities for presenting their work. All right, the next place to be connecting with your customers is online. And one of the obvious things you can do starting off is set up an Etsy shop that's easy and not very expensive. And eventually you may decide that you're ready to have a shop at your own site, but Etsy is a good starting ground for you. And you can do that, and you can connect with people and also find out what people are interested in, what else is selling on Etsy, what's popular. So it's good to kind of know what's going on there. A couple of places on social media that are a natural fit for your arts and crafts are to post pictures on Instagram, or to post demonstration videos on YouTube of you doing your work. People find it interesting to watch artists work and crafters work, and so that's always a natural place to just kind of put it out there and let people start to get to know you as an artist or a crafter. All right, the final way to connect with customers is to build an audience. And in this day and age, you as an artist really have to do this. The days are over when you could just have someone else take care of that for you. People buy from people, and so they need to know, like, and trust you. So you do need to work on getting to know your audience and build your audience. One of the basic things you need to do is to consider where your customer hangs out and try to find them there and kind of hang out with them and get to know them. On Facebook groups, it's a great way to search and find people who might be your typical customers and just people that you would like and like to get to know. Or Pinterest is another place you might look, and that's a good place where you can kind of be sharing your things and getting to know people. Engage with people in a genuine, non-spammy way, and just be there to kind of get to know people. Don't think, I'm here to sell this to you. Just think, I'm here to get to know these people, and eventually you will grow a relationship with them. So that's an important place to start. One thing that you really need to try and consider doing as early as possible is kind of starting to build an email list. That's going to be important to you as an artist or crafter who's making a living from what you do. There are free email service providers like MailChimp that won't cost you anything to start using, and start being able to build an email list and keep those contacts with the people who are interested in your work. That's really important to you as someone who's going to make a living as a maker. So the third and final key to making a living with your art or craft is to get diversification of your income. You need to develop multiple sources of income, and that way you'll have this coming in at one time. If that slows down, you have something else coming in. You're still doing creative things as an artist or maker, but you're having multiple different areas that those things come in from, and that's going to help you finally be able to do this for a living instead of just doing it part-time, where a little bit comes in here and there. Consider all the different ways that you could possibly make revenue related to this thing that you do, and try to explore at least having 3 of those things set up, that there are 3 different ways that you have money coming in all the time from what you do. A list of a few examples are teaching or having clients that you consult with to help them learn how to do these things, selling your work obviously online, selling it yourself, having a rep or a gallery sell it, having a location that you rent in some kind of a mercantile or craft mall or art mall. And most people who make money from that do it in like multiple different locations. So again, they're having diversification. If all they do is have mercantiles and craft malls, they usually have multiple locations so that they're getting income from different places and they're being exposed to more different customers and more traffic. Online sales, we've talked about. Sales in person are also important. It just helps you get out there, get your face in public, and get to know the people who are interested in your work. Getting real in-person live feedback is super important to keep you on track and keep you doing things that are going to be sellable and marketable for you. Another place to consider bringing in some income to make money that a lot of artists are doing now is different types of crowdfunding. Patreon is obviously a place where people who find you and decide they want to help support you, give you money to help you make your art, and then you do something special for them so they're insiders where they get something special that other people don't get. Kickstarter is an example of one of those larger crowdfunding sites where you can fund something that's a bigger or specific project if that's what you're doing. Finally, there are also print-on-demand places online where people can find a lot of different art, and if they like yours, they can print it out and buy it. So getting signed up on one of those is another place where you can be making passive income with your work. In the end, it can be a little overwhelming when you're trying to think about all the things that you need to do in order to try and make money selling your art and this thing that you make. But these 3 areas really cover the main points of what you have to take care of in order to start making money from your art. Some of them take time to develop, but what I encourage you to do is to analyze your own work and see which leg of this stool is the weak one for you, or which ones you need to work on to get all 3 of them to hold up your career as an artist or a maker. These are the 3 areas you need to look at and see the subcategories of what needs more work in order for you to get the strength to be able to move forward and start to make money from your art. I want to encourage everyone out there to keep on making and doing, stay creative, and your creative gift has value. Please join us next week for another lesson.